Hi guys, and today I'm reviewing the new Ford Puma. Now some of you will know that the Puma name was with Ford a few years ago. In fact, in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had a little two-door sports coupe type thing. I remember reviewing the car at the time and really loving it. It reminded me of sort of Honda's version of a CRX, a little sporty little thing. It looked really good, a little awkward and ungainly perhaps in its base form with the smaller wheels. They corrected that when they came out with the racing version with the widened wheel arches and the bigger wheels. That was very much a sporty thing. Fast forward to 2020 and we have this new Puma, and this is not the same as that. This one is more about being a compact family SUV. However, Ford say that there are DNA strands of that Puma in this car, and the fact that this is actually based on the Fiesta, and the Fiesta of course gives us the Fiesta ST, one of the best pocket rockets out there, so that actually bodes quite well. In fact, Ford say that this is actually a bit sharper to drive than a regular Fiesta, and we'll find that out. But the main thing about the car is it still practical in this size? It is actually a little bit bigger than the Fiesta, but of course taller, but also a little bit wider. It's a very distinctive and quite a good looking car. It certainly stands out, especially in this grey color that contrasts with the black accents. Now these start from just under £22,000. That's for the base titanium model. Then they go up to the ST line, which is under £23,000. And then you get the ST line X, which is what this one is with the sports suspension, and that's £24,000. You get the Vignale next up at 25k, and then they've just introduced the ST version, which is the 200 brake horsepower sportier version, so like the modern day Puma racing if you like, and that's basically based on the Fiesta ST. That one is 28,000. What engine does this get? Well, this is one up from base. They all have 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engines. They're all mild hybrid. By mild hybrid, I mean they're not full inline hybrid. They are actually has a 48 volt system, so basically has a motor instead of the alternator that helps it to stop start and also enhances the performance. You get manual gearbox with the mild hybrid, so you get 6-speed manual gearbox, and you get the 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo, as I said, in either 125 brake horsepower, that's the base model, and then this one is 155 brake horsepower. Now if you want an automatic, you can get it. That's not a hybrid though, but it comes with a 125 brake horsepower 1 litre engine. So the main thing to do now is to check out this car and see what the practicality is like. Before we do that, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy. Make sure that follow me on browncarguy.com, and of course on all my social media channels. Just search for my hashtag, which is on my hat, hashtag browncarguy. And of course, if you enjoy my content, you can also support and sponsor it on patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. Cool, let's get into this. There you go, Puma on the back, and this is of course an EcoBoost hybrid, MHEV as they call them. Quite a nice look at the back here, a bit of a spoiler on the back here. I can actually open this through here. This has got a power lift gate on this one. And as you can see, it's got quite a deep floor and quite expansive actually, quite spacious. I mean, so this is nothing like a Fiesta. This is a lot more room than you would get than the Fiesta. And in fact, under here, there's a little secret, because you actually have this deep bin, a pretty deep bin, and actually this actually holds up because you've got this thing here that's working on that side. The number plate is there because it's got a tow bar, and so you can add something to it and then put an extra plate on it. That's what that is. There's a bunch of cables. If I could show you with that in place, but you can actually put the floor up one level. That thing won't allow me to do it at the moment, but yeah, so basically you can change the level of the floor, and then you get a much higher floor if you don't need it, or you can put it down. So that's quite handy. Back here you've got hook power supply, split folding seats, and a light. And of course that little box there apparently has a drainage as well, so you can put stuff in there that is a bit dirty or needs to be washed down and stuff like that. So that's quite handy. What is the room like in the rear passenger compartment? Let's find that out next. Let's get into the rear. Now I gotta say immediately, there is definitely more space in here than in the back of a Fiesta, but It's still a bit tight for me. Again, don't forget that I am 6'2" with long legs. This driving seat is set for my driving position, so this is how I would sit. So this obviously is encroaching in the rear passenger compartment. Having said that, this scoop out in the back of the seats is certainly providing just enough space for my knees. Shin room, no problem, and feet, oh, there's plenty of room to wiggle around in there, no issues whatsoever. Generally quite comfortable. I'm sitting a little bit upright, so actually my head is also quite close, although to remove claustrophobic feelings or anything like that, and to get a little bit more light into the cabin, there's a second cover back here in this panoramic roof, so that's quite nice, isn't it? Other than that, you don't get much. You get the net, you get these very nice trim on the seats, you get this red stitching that is a theme throughout the car, and you do of course get Isofix child seat anchor points. There's no center armrest, there are headrests, and there are no USBs or vents, but you get a little pockety thing there. Probably you can put a phone in there, just about it. So I would say that for 4 regular sized adults, maybe even 5, this wouldn't be a problem. It'd be fine. If you're on the taller side, best just check it out. I couldn't do a very long journey like this. That would be quite painful, but for short time runs around town, it wouldn't be an issue. What's it like in the front? Let's find out. Here we go, in the front of this car, no problems with room at all in the front. And check that out, that's a really cool graphic. I like being greeted by that every time you get in the car. Look at that, and it's all glimmering and everything. That's really cool. So clutch down, starter button over here, let's start it up, and you will see how this lights up. And you can see it's got a full digital screen there, and you know, you can configure the settings and all the rest of it. So you can go through fuel economy, average tire pressures, and the hybrid gauge, you know, what it's using, how it's using it, all the rest of it. Over here you've got all the infotainment system. This works just as you would expect. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all of that works from there. DAB radio, 10 speaker Bang & Olufsen, as you can see. B&O, you can see here as well. Sounds fantastic, really, really good. Sound system, all the red trimming and the carbon effect you can see on the dashboard. The red stitching on the steering wheel looks really nice. These are controls for the cruise control, and then of course you've got the mode. So let me just show you, the mode buttons are down here next to the traction control, stop, start, parking assist, and all the rest of it. And I'll just go through the modes for you. And this is a front wheel drive only, remember, and you know, with 19-inch wheels, this has got option, I'll go through that in a minute. It's got an optional 19-inch wheels on this one. A little bit big for this car, I think, but doesn't really affect the ride, as we'll see later. So again, the modes I was going to show you, and we have that's normal mode. It resets pretty quickly. Eco mode, which I haven't really used, you don't really need to. You know, with fuel economy as good as it is, I've been getting 32, nearly 32 miles, no, 31 miles per gallon over 80 something miles. Eco, then you got sport, where everything glows red. Look at that, that's a pretty cool graphic as well, I like that. And then you can also, you've got trail, and then, oh, I missed it. Let's go back to it, see if I can do that. Slippery, there you go, another nice graphic. And these, like I said, it's front wheel drive, so what they do is basically they just adjust the traction control and stability controls to account for that. Like I said, really, really nicely done interior here, feels really good. Deep glove box there. Climate control on this car. A wireless charging system there. It's a perfect place to slot your phone into there, and it just starts charging automatically. That's quite handy. There's controls over there. This is not soft touch, but it feels nice. This here is a bit soft touch, so that's pretty good. Steering feel is quite good. All the buttons are as you would expect them to be. It is a Ford, so it's not unfamiliar. Twin cup holders, a little box there as well. There's your USB there. There is another USB inside of here, which is a reasonably deep cubby box, as you can see. And because you don't have a USB in the back, that could be quite handy. So like I said, this car is very well equipped as standard, and the performance aspect on the if you get the new ST version, it does 0 to 62 miles per hour acceleration in 6.7 seconds, but this one ain't no slouch either, 8.9 seconds and 124 miles per hour. And as I said, miles per gallon, it's quoted as 54.3 on here. I think that's doable over a longer run. I've been driving it enthusiastically. Emissions are 101 grams per kilometer on this car. And 18-inch alloy wheels is what it comes with, but this one has, like I said, has got the option. We'll come to the options in a minute. Body kit, projector lights, carbon look interior deco. That's all standard. The B&O 10 speaker system is standard on this car. Wireless charging, that's standard. Cruise control, lane keeping assistance, lane departure warning, pre-collision assist, pedestrian detection. All of that is there. Excuse me, not COVID. So £24,000 is the on-the-road price of this car. This has got quite a few options. So the grey matter, man, it's got brains on the outside. The grey matter paintwork is a £750 option. The 19-inch wheels are £450. I say stick with the regular ones. Fixed LED headlamps, that could be quite good. They're £800. Driver assistance package, yeah, you really want all that stuff. The radar, camera, rear camera. Adaptive cruise control with evasive steering with the manual transmission. Oh yeah, that's all £900. Panoramic roof, take it or leave it, but if you get claustrophobic, it's worth having, £950. And then you got the hands-free keyless entry and rear tailgate, £600. It's nice to have. Detachable tow bar, don't need that. That's £500 on this car. So really comfortable in here, really quite spacious. I feel pretty, I'm again, not as upright as I was sitting in the back, but I feel quite comfortable. I also feel like I'm sitting higher up in this car, but generally it's very comfortable, very fine, not a problem at all. So the next thing to do really is to take it for a drive and see about that Puma DNA that they mentioned earlier, and just generally how good is it to drive. So let's see how this thing goes. I mean, it drives, as a normal car you'd expect it to drive. It's very easy to drive. Around town, it works really well. Out here, it's surprisingly enjoyable. Now we're on a little road. It's a little bit bumpy. You can hear it. You can hear the surface of the road. You can feel the surface of the road a little bit. But the car, the suspension is doing a pretty good job. There is a little bit of sound. There's a little bit of rattle and squeaking in this particular car. I suspect, though, this is a press car with nearly 5,000 miles on it, and considering the nature of the car, I suspect it's been driven rather enthusiastically, and I think that is what is showing in the sense of those rattles and squeaks. Other than that, the car feels absolutely solid, no issues whatsoever. The engine sounds really good. I mean, when I'm just waiting to pass a cyclist here. When I do, you might be able to hear a little bit of the sound of the engine, which is quite a grumbly little thing, quite a gruff and grumbly little thing when you give it a little bit of boot. It's got like a baby V8 sound to it or something like that, so it's interesting. It's got a lot of character. Quite decent initial performance, in fact, off the line. I could do with a more precise clutch biting point. Again, maybe it's this particular car because I can feel that this car has been well driven. But the gear changes themselves are very smooth. You never miss it. Could do with a slightly higher lever, but that's just me. A slightly higher, point for the gear knob. But the thing is that that position there is quite good, so that works quite well. But the shift itself is very, very good. You do get a little indicator here as well. So, and you can, I'm wearing boots at the moment, so it's a bit difficult, but you can heel in toe. The pedals are very well placed as well. So that's all quite handy. So let's go straight into sport. And the steering does feel like it firms up straight away in sport. You do tend to feel that there. And that's probably where you feel it more than anywhere else in terms of the driving modes. All-round visibility is pretty good. I've not had any problem with it at all. It does have a reversing camera. Not a 360, but a reversing camera. That's just the wireless phone charger notification coming up on there. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But all-round visibility is very good. The mirrors work really well. There are controls over here for the mirror, so that's quite good. And around town, it's a very good size. I mean, as you see, we just drove through a little village there, and you're sitting tall. So you're sitting. It's a 4 SUV. It's like it's a pretend SUV. You're just sitting like quite taller than you would be in a car in a hatchback, but yet you have the proportions and the size of a hatchback. So driving it through town, parking it, and maneuverability wise, it's no problem whatsoever, and yet you have the higher vantage point that you get in an SUV. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like an SUV. It's not like, top heavy or anything like that. It's pretty stable, and it does feel hot hatches, hatchish, if you like. Have I just made that up? I don't know. I probably have anyway. So, in that sense, it is extremely satisfying to drive and quite enjoyable. The steering is actually quite good. There's a reasonable amount of feel through the steering wheel. It does tell you what the car is doing. I haven't detected any overt understeer or anything like that. I mean, even in wet conditions now, just putting my foot down and a slight bit of movement at the front where the wheels are just waiting to find that grip. But the tires are quite warm on this car. But as you saw, the grip is plentiful there, even though there's no such thing. No, I can't really say that there's any torque steer, but you could feel that the power it just took a little fraction of a moment to figure out how to put the power down, and then it was absolutely fine. We're going to try a little bit of a motorway stint here. Now this thing does have active cruise control, and the interesting thing about the active cruise control, oh gosh, it's sunny, is that when you activate it, and you can do that from here, and it's very easy to use, it's very straightforward. You've got a limiter as well and all the rest of it, and you've got all the remote controls on here, including the stereo controls. Great stereo, 10 speaker, Bang & Olufsen, sounds fantastic, as they normally do. And Fords always pay a lot of attention to that sort of thing. So we'll build up to speed now on this motorway section, and it does, we have 6 gears to play with. I might as well go into 6th gear, and then I can press the button here. I got the active cruise control. I'm not sure if it's configurable. I suspect it is, but the interesting thing is that what I have there is I have a graphic of the back end of a Mustang. So that's quite funny. Very smooth. Once again, just the slightest bit of wind noise, as you'd expect from a high-sided car, but nothing intrusive. Hardly any road roar at all. But very smooth, and it keeps up speed very well at all. I mean, you're talking about. It's very easy to forget that this is a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. I mean, there is nothing to tell you that you would be shortchanged in any way whatsoever in terms of performance or its ability to go because of that engine. But then again, it does have 155 brake horsepower in a small car. That's plenty, so that's not a problem at all. Still in sports mode, and the steering is nice and tight on here, so that's absolutely fine. I could actually do with a little bit more heft to it, actually. Personally, I suspect they've held that back for the sportier ST version. I guess that's what's going on there. But it's generally fine, and I think for most people in this sort of market looking for this sort of car, I think it will be absolutely fine. Is it a comfortable cruiser? The seats are very comfortable. It's got there's a knob here for lumbar support and stuff like that. They're manual seats, but you can height adjust them and of course adjust the back as well. So no real issues at all. I haven't felt uncomfortable at all. Leg space is pretty good. It's a comfortable ride. It's not a problem at all. And I suspect actually I could do a long distance in this car without too much trouble. Plenty of space for my left leg, even though the clutch is down there, but there's plenty of room there for the foot as well. Left foot, not an issue. So I think this will be a pretty good cruiser. And again, the fact is that this is quite an enjoyable little car. I mean, I'm not saying that it's Fiesta ST levels, but it will keep up, or it will give you the same level of entertainment and engagement that any Fiesta would, any decent Fiesta would. And I think that, to an extent, again, the responsiveness from the wheel just there. So when you start to pick up speed and start to, check it about a little bit, the responsiveness from the wheel is actually really good, really reassuring, really quite tight actually. And it flows really well actually. So again, good on the brakes. The brakes are very linear, very reassuring. And again, downhill into a corner, building up speed. Yeah, no problem at all. Very confidence inspiring. Verging on sporty. I wouldn't say it's quite there, but it's definitely verging on sporty. I tell you what, it would be very interesting and very fascinating to try the ST version of this car, which has just been released, because it does feel like it's got the DNA there of something that wants to go, yeah, let's get on with this, let's do this. And yeah, that could be quite an entertaining car to try. So there you go. I think this is a fantastic little car. I think that you know, it's going to cannibalize sales from the Fiesta, I reckon. If Ford has any problem with this car, that I think is going to be the problem. It's going to cannibalize sales from within its own range. Because if you're gonna buy a Fiesta, then you're going to think, well, you know, it's just a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, a little bit baller. You know, why don't I just get this one? Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's that good. And I like the looks of it. I like the style of it. I think around town it's the perfect size. So for me, it's a big thumbs up for the new Ford Puma. And I can't wait to try the ST version. So there you go. There's my review of the Puma. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought of the car, the review, anything else you want to talk about in the comments. And also make sure that you are subscribing to youtube.com/Brown Car Guy. Make sure that you're subscribing to browncarguy.com. Making sure, of course, that you follow me on all the social media channels. Just search my hashtag. It's hashtag Brown Car Guy on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you know what? If you enjoy my content, then hopefully, maybe, please, you can sponsor and support me on patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh, and you can join such wonderful people as Mohamed Ali Humaid, Partha, find him on parthans.com, Tom Conway-Gordon, we have Isaac Beauchard, find him on bespokeautos.com. We have Reza Adil, find him on Instagram at alizarde.cigars, and we have Muhammad Qasim, find him on WEHMS. I always get that wrong, I think, but it's on the screen hopefully, so you'll find it there. And of course we have another person. We have Siraj. How could I forget Siraj Abbasi, my latest patron. Welcome to him, and he is on virtuosodesign.london. Go check them out. Go check them all out. Wonderful, wonderful people. You can join them from as little as £2 a month. Just head over to patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh. If not, make sure you hit the like button, share it if you can, comment definitely, and of course you're subscribing. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all again soon in the next video.